Oh, here comes Bob. Good morning and welcome to Todd County Board of Commissioners regular board meeting. Today is Tuesday, November 19th. The time is 9 a.m. We will roll call. All commissioners are present along with the auditor, treasurer, and the coordinator. We will stand for a pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, amendments to the agenda, and we're going to have to take off 12.2, the extension contract, as I believe that John signed that now.
Yes, that was signed Friday afternoon.
Okay.
And has been submitted to the extension.
Okay. Are there any other amendments to the agenda? If not, I'd ask for a motion for approval.
So moved.
Motion by Noska. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denny. Discussion? Hearing no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries. Consent items, Denise?
Today's consent items are meeting minute approval for October 15th and 22nd, 2024. Gambling permit for Lions Ferry Lake Association event to happen May 28th of 2025. Gambling permit for Sauk Valley Gobblers event to happen 3/8/2025. A gambling permit for Sauk Valley Gobblers, an event to happen 4/12/2025. A gambling permit for Staples Sportsman's Club event to happen 3/8/2025. Hire social worker Christine Jagger, start date to be determined, and hire social worker Kelsey Benson, start date to be determined.
Okay, hearing the consent items, is there a motion for approval?
I'll make it.
Motion by Noska. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Byers. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries. We'll go into the warrants.
Yes, my items today are commissioner warrants. Background is sent for review. Recommendation is to approve the commissioner warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling in the amount of $143,463.20.
Okay, is there a motion for the commissioner warrants for the amount of $143,463.20?
So moved.
Motion by Newman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denny. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, roll call.
Commissioner Newman,
Yes.
Commissioner Denny,
Yes.
Commissioner Byers,
Yes.
Commissioner Noska,
Yes.
Commissioner Becker.
Yes.
Next item I have then is the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants. Background is sent for review. Recommendation is to approve the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling in the amount of $49,047.36.
Okay, I ask for a motion for the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants for amount of $49,047.36.
So moved.
Motion by Denny. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Noska. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, roll call.
Commissioner Denny,
Yes.
Commissioner Noska,
Yes.
Commissioner Byers,
Yes.
Commissioner Newman,
Yes.
Commissioner Becker.
Yes.
The last item I have today then is the Health and Human Services SSIS warrants. Background is sent for review. Recommendation is to approve the Health and Human Service SSIS warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling in the amount of $101,999.16.
Okay, I'd ask for a motion for the Health and Human Services SSIS warrants in the amount of $101,999.16.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Noska. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Newman. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, roll call.
Commissioner Noska,
Yes.
Commissioner Newman,
Yes.
Commissioner Byers,
Yes.
Commissioner Denny,
Yes.
Commissioner Becker.
Yes. Okay, then we will go to community corrections. Hi, Kathy.
Good morning.
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 Today I have a request with a resolution, and it is to appoint new
Push your button on the mic there, Kathy. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Today I have a request for appointment to the Todd Wadena Community Corrections Advisory Board. We have 3 openings on that board, all from Wadena County. And the advisory board recommends membership for the board, but members of the advisory board must be appointed by each county board. So today I could read the board action form and the resolution, whatever Madam Chair prefers.
Either one, Kathy.
Okay, thank you. In accordance with Minnesota Statutes, Chapter 401, in 1976, Todd and Wadena counties entered into a joint powers agreement and established Todd Wadena Community Corrections. As part of the joint powers agreement, membership of the Todd Wadena Community Corrections Advisory Board needs to be appointed by the boards of commissioners in Todd and Wadena counties. The following positions are currently open, all from Wadena County: Public Health, Victim Services, and Public Defender. The following individuals have agreed to fill the open positions: Sarah Ness, Wadena County Public Health Director; Johanna Bolter, Director of Advocacy for Someplace Safe; and Jessin Alexander, Public Defender. I am respectfully recommending that the board adopt the attached resolution appointing Sarah Ness, Johanna Bolter, and Jessin Alexander to the Todd Wadena Community Corrections Advisory Board. Thank you.
Okay. Kathy, has the Wadena Board, Commissioner Board approved these, or when are they coming in front of the Wadena Board?
November 25th is when I'll go before the Wadena County Board.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, I have submitted this to the Wadena County Board, however.
Okay, okay. So I would ask for a motion for the appointing of the new members to the Todd Wadena Community Correction Advisory Board.
I'll make the motion to appoint the new members.
Okay, a motion by Nazca. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denny. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it carries. Thank you, Kathy.
You're welcome, thank you.
Kathy.
Sorry about that, Bert.
Nancy? Good morning.
Morning.
All right, I have 2 agenda items. First one is the County Ditch 29 hold harmless agreement for ditch maintenance. Background has been sent. The options are approve the hold harmless or do not approve the hold harmless. And the recommendation, Todd County Board of Commissioners approves the following by motion. Acting as ditch authority, approve a hold harmless agreement petition from Paul Raber to clean approximately 1/2 mile of County Ditch 29 on parcel 07-00291000 and 07-00292000, Eagle Valley Township, Section 25. This project will be done on his own property at his own expense. And it's just that short little section there.
Okay.
And this was cleaned previously in 2012. He's just re-cleaning it.
Okay. Is there a motion for a whole harmless agreement for County Ditch 29 for maintenance?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Denny. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Byers. Discussion?
Always nice to see them doing it on their own dime, rather than us having to have hearings for
it is.
cleaning and
Yep.
all that stuff, so these are good. I welcome these every time.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
Okay, the next agenda item is County Ditch 31 hold harmless agreement for ditch maintenance. And same background has been sent for your review. Options approved, don't approve the hold harmless agreement, and the recommendation, the Todd County Board of Commissioners approves the following by motion. Acting as ditch authority approves a hold harmless agreement petition from Aaron Wendell to clean approximately 2,390 feet of lateral 1 and branch 1 of lateral 1 on County Ditch 31 on parcel 07-0004100, Eagle Valley Township, Section 5. This project will be done on his own property and his own expense, and this was also cleaned previously in 2011.
Okay.
And it's just what's in purple there. The branch is the west one, and the lateral is the east one, east ditch line.
Okay, I'd ask for a motion for the whole harmless agreement for County Ditch 31 maintenance.
I'll make a, go ahead, Bob.
So moved.
Motion by Byers, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Nasca. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, and carries. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Good morning, Lauren.
Morning.
Good morning.
All right, the first item on the agenda for this morning for Public Works is a request for the promotion of the Public Works Maintenance Foreman. And the background is as follows. Due to the recent retirement of our current Public Works Maintenance Foreman, this position will become vacant. Therefore, with the help of the administration HR department, we did some advertising and conducted interviews. And at this time, we're recommending Adam Olson, a current employee, to fill that maintenance foreman position. So our options are to promote Adam Olson to fill this position at grade 11, step 6, at $34.48 an hour, with a start date of actually tomorrow, so he can basically learn from Paul, our current foreman, for a number of weeks, or do not fill the maintenance person position at this time, and a recommendation is to move forward with the promotion of Adam Olson to fill that position.
Okay, thank you. And I'm gonna, I took this and had Lauren bring this as a separate item because of the pay. It was outside of the box that Nellie could offer.
Would you like me to explain briefly?
Yes, please.
So per the policy, personal policy, it recommends when someone gets promoted that they get an additional 4%. And when we applied the 4% wage to Adam's current wage, it put him at a grade 11, step 4, which would be actually under one of the individuals that he would currently manage, or we would be managing. Therefore, to make that correction, to put him just above that position, we needed to move that from a grade 4 to a grade 6, which would be from a $32.49 an hour to $34.88 an hour, $48 an hour, so roughly about $2 per hour extra to make that separation.
Okay. Nellie or Jackie, any?
No, the only, I guess, comment I have is if we can add to the VAF for history in case we ever have to research.
Okay.
So
Does that have to be within the motion then to have that added to the?
Just like we do with Adams and the change, just whoever makes the motion, just add on
The, okay,
the policy.
okay.
the step, Madam Chair,
Yes,
the step 6 is the one that gets him above the current gentleman's or person's pay, and that's step 5.
Correct. Yep.
Thank you.
Madam Chair? if I may.
Yes.
Just to look at this on the other side, Adam's position will be vacant then, and then we're looking to hire that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
We-
so
okay.
it'll just be a whole
It's just kind of
process
a,
of.
you might get another promotion and another.
So how this would happen, he's currently the sign tech,
Yeah.
someone may want that position
Right.
internally, which per the union policy, they would be able to shift to that position. Then we'd open up that position,
Okay,
and
got
then we'd
it.
have to advertise to the public, assuming. there's
So
no
we
internal
allow a
candidates.
shift before we advertise to the public?
Yep, per the
Okay,
per
perfect.
the
I like that,
union
yeah.
contract.
Yep. Great.
okay. Any further questions? No? Okay. If everybody understands where we're at on this, okay. Then I would ask for a motion for the promotion of the Public Works Maintenance Foreman
With the amendment to the board
with the
action.
amendment to the board action. Correct. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to fill the maintenance foreperson position at a grade 11, step 6 for Adam Olson, with the added verbiage of the reasoning why he was placed at a step 6.
Okay, thank you. And is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, second by Newman. More discussion?
We had a lengthy discussion on this in personnel, so just to let everybody know, so,
Okay,
good deal.
if not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And carries. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you. Our next topic on the agenda this morning is a request for approval for our nomination for a proposed project in County Road 51 for fiscal year 2029, and the background is with this. Through Region 5 Development Corporation, the 5 counties and a couple of cities within the region on an annual basis are allowed to apply for federal funding through the Federal Transportation Bill. And it's a competitive process, and with this, we're requesting approval from the board to submit the application to the region to complete this project in County Road 51 in fiscal year 2029. So if we can go down through that, through the map I had there, County Road 51 goes from basically the city of Osakis, right at the intersection with Highway 27, south to southeast through the town of West Union, all the way down to Stearns County line. County Road 51, the history of that, it used to be the old state highway before the interstate was moved, or was created. Some of the difficulties with County Road 51 is that there's an old concrete base there that in 1993, the county did a project which was called crack and seeded. They basically brought in these big hammers, cracked the concrete into smaller pieces, and then rolled a big roll over the top and seeded it into the existing soil. I know it sounds a little engineering-like, but the problem with that is that on the current soil, the pavement just isn't keeping up as we should be. So with this, we'd like to do a fairly large, substantial, full-depth reclamation project to complete this project in 2029. The problem with this more extensive project is it actually brings up the cost. Our current recommendation, our current estimate of the cost of this project in 2029 is right around $4 million. That's why with the volume of traffic on this road, the size of the project, the cost of the project, we believe this is a great candidate and will score very highly in this competitive process. And that's why I'd be recommending to submit this to Region 5 for consideration. Typically, on a project like this with a federal project, it's a 80-20 split, but we're bringing it actually down to a 70-30 split, 30% federal, 70% local. Because we went for the full amount, there's just no way we'd be able to apply for that, and we would not get funded because we're asking too much. They kind of have to share the wealth, so to speak, because there's a limited pot of money, and we want to be good neighbors to our other counties, and they should get their projects as well. So with that, all being said, our options are to approve or do not approve the attached resolution. Our recommendation is to approve the attached resolution nominating County Road 51 for our project for fiscal year 2029.
Okay, is there a motion for the 2029 Area Transportation Improvement Plan for County Road 51 for Region 5?
So move.
Motion by Newman, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denny. Discussion.
Yes, Madam Chair. We're gonna work with the city of West Union to clarify if they're gonna be doing anything down there as far as
Yeah,
septic.
through the development of this project, we'll obviously be talking with the city if there's any additional improvements that they'd like to see as we go through their community. If and when at that point in time they do get funded for their, I guess it'd be safe water or sanitary improvement district, I'm not sure exactly what they're calling it. We'd definitely be working with them and probably have to coordinate something, either leave that portion out of the project
Okay,
or add to it, but there will be a definite communication coordination with the city before we do this project.
all right.
Yep.
And I was kind of surprised that Stearns County, when they come from Sauk Center to the Todd County line, concrete. And that's a very nice,
And I'm glad you brought that up. We did look at that. I've got some information from Stearns County regarding that. That goes from roughly a $4 million project to about an $8 million project.
yeah.
Luckily for Stearns County, they have a little bigger
pot,
pot of money or a money generator.
yeah,
So we're doing with what we can with what we got.
I understand. Thanks.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries. Thank you.
And just a friendly reminder, tomorrow is our road meeting, so we'd love to have you down at 9 o'clock for a good discussion. So thank you.
Thanks, Lauren.
Sounds good, Lauren.
Thanks, Lauren.
Good morning, Adam.
Morning.
Okay, my first item this morning is the Hendricks Acres preliminary plat, a application for a subdivision to create 6 2-acre lots on parcel 15, 0045-001 in Candota Township was submitted October 14th. The application was reviewed by the Planning Commission during the November 7th public hearing. The final recommendation from the Planning Commission was to approve the preliminary plat with the conditions below. Options are to approve the preliminary plat with the conditions, develop findings, to deny the preliminary plat, or remand it back to the Planning Commission with the 60-day extension. Recommendation is to adopt the findings of the Planning Commission and approve the preliminary plat with the conditions below. 1, all new driveway accesses shall be approved by the local road authority prior to installation. 2, creation and recording of protective covenants for this development. Covenants shall include a restriction of no more than 2 dwelling sites within the development. Covenant shall include language that storage structures cannot be used for residential structures, and that Todd County shall be made party to those protective covenants. And 3, that they abide by all their applicable federal, state, and local standards. The only thing, one thing I wanted to add to that is I had a conversation with the surveyor who's representing the landowner in this application, and in condition number 2, they're requesting that the board consider editing that to not allow any dwellings within the development. They want it strictly for storage structure. The landowner wants to retain those 2 dwelling rights on the piece of land that's not in the development. So they are hoping that the board will consider editing that to not allow any dwelling sites. And I have some draft language here with the board would like to consider that.
Adam, you asked for the picture to be
Oh, yeah,
presented.
Commissioner Newman had asked for some extra maps and stuff, so I have the preliminary plat in the board packet, and then there was a location map, but then there was some extra maps and stuff I had shared with Denise to bring up on the board here, showing the site location there, just to the east of Lake Osakis. That's just the property as a whole. The development goes kind of 4 lots across County 10, and then 2 off of 161st Avenue. If you go to the next one. So this is the zoning districts. That kind of brighter green color is AF2. That lighter color in the bottom is AF1. That's where that density standard comes in, allowing 2 dwellings per government 40 versus the 1 per government 40, which is what generated that condition number 2 of only allowing 2 dwellings within the development to stay within that density standard. But they really want to retain the dwelling rights for a different part of the 40 that's not in the development. So they would like a condition that just says we're not going to allow any dwellings within the development. Going down, that's just soils information. That's the topography. There are a couple little wetland pockets. Our wetland staff had looked at this. And then the last one is just identifying the sewerable sites for the development. And I think that was all the maps.
Those sewerable sites wouldn't matter at that point, though, if there were no dwellings, would it?
Right. Unless, if they had a workshop or something and wanted to put a septic system in, but our subdivision regulations state you have to identify that, so we required it with the application regardless of what they were going to be used for.
Does it affect any of the neighbors by us changing number 2?
Does it affect any of the neighbors?
Yeah, I mean, they own this whole 40, so it's not going to affect someone else's right to build?
No, they would
Okay.
have their own, it's on a separate 40, we would make an independent decision based on that. Yep.
Okay.
So, Madam Chair, I do have a question. How far is it from the back of the line of those lots to the wildlife management area?
Oh boy, I don't know if I'm gonna have that right off the top
And
here.
that's federal government, isn't it?
Yeah, that, I believe that
So
is, I don't know if that's.
do they have any restrictions as far as us developing within that wildlife management area because of the slugs, muzzleloaders?
Yeah, I'm not gonna have that measurement right off the top here.
But has anybody checked with them?
We did not hear anything from them, nor did we reach out directly to them. If that's
So they've never
something
been,
you'd like
they've
us.
never been contacted?
Right, but if we have time, give me 1 second
I
here.
mean, I don't have a problem with the plat. It's just, my concerns is when we start coming into a public wildlife hunting area and you start building and slugs start going into people's
sure.
buildings.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Do we encroach on the distance that we can have from those buildings to where people can discharge a firearm is kind of thing you're looking at?
Exactly.
Yeah, so if you start taking away the usage of that,
So
Federal land,
that's
it
my
may-
only concern.
Yeah,
that
absolutely. No,
Somebody
absolutely.
didn't bring that up and look at it and say, well, wow, there's a wildlife management area, but this is in my backyard, so I mean,
We,
That's
I
the
know
only question.
what you're referencing. We've never had that as a consideration in these developments in the past. But I'm just looking, we're in our 120 days. And so February 11th, if we extend this, that would, I mean, we can bring it back to a planning commission meeting and back to this board if that's something that the board feels is important that we figure
well,
that out.
I've had neighbors on the one next to us, the Waldorf Wildlife Management Area. Neighbors show concerns about people hunting right across the road from them with slugs coming through their yard. So I mean, it is an issue, and it needs to be looked at. And if they don't have a problem with it, right?
I think you gotta figure that out first, personally, just because, yeah, I mean, I've seen slugs go through people's houses and then babies sleeping in it, in their closets, so.
Yeah, I agree with you,
Not,
but
not to make it difficult, but we should cross that T and dot that I.
So do you need a motion for us to send it back?
Yeah, I
to the
would,
planning and
based on that,
zoning?
yeah, I'd recommend we remand it back to the planning commission, extend the application decision by the 60 days, so that would give us till February 11th, but we can have an answer well before that, when, I mean, for the next, well, our planning commission meeting would be that first Thursday in December, so middle part of December, we can have it back here and have an answer for, well, we'll have it by that planning commission meeting even.
and the other thing is, this is Leslie Township, not Candota.
Oh, that's my fault. I'll make that correction too.
Madam Chair? if I may.
Yes.
So what we're just looking for is a comment back from is it U.S. Fish and Wildlife that?
I believe
holds
so,
that one,
yeah.
That waterfowl production area like
Yep.
that? Yeah, just a comment back saying, no, we're good,
Yep.
is all?
Yep.
Okay.
Brandy, would you like to make that into a motion?
Yes, ma'am. So I'll move that we send it back to the planning commission and they review if there's any conflict with the wildlife management area to the south.
Okay. Motion by Newman, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Noska. Discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carried, so we'll send it back.
Yep, and we'll
good.
just get that right on the December agenda.
Okay.
And turn it around as quick as we can with that answer. Okay, next, the Trantina request for rezone, an application for rezoning from AF1 to AF2 of the southeast quarter of the northeast quarter, section 20 Fawn Lake Township was received on October 14th. Application was reviewed by the planning commission during the November 7th public hearing. Final recommendation was from the planning commission was to grant the rezone with no conditions. Options are to grant the rezone with no conditions, develop findings, and deny the rezone or remand it back to the planning commission. Recommendation is to adopt the findings of the planning commission, granting the rezone of the southeast quarter of the northeast quarter, section 20, Fawn Lake Township with no conditions.
Okay, I would ask for a motion for the Trantina request for rezoning.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Denny, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Noska, discussion.
Yeah, do you have a map of this one, where this one's at as well? Is that one
Yep, they
down
should
there?
be right there. That's County 7 there, and it's just to the east
And
of County 7.
it borders AF2 as well, is that
Yep,
correct?
the
Yeah.
immediately to the south, I believe, is the AF2.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of, that Rat Lake is actually a lake, so that it has a shoreline designation. And then, so that actually doesn't, but to the
They're-
south, it
are
does
they-
not create a spot
Yeah.
zone if that's
Is the goal
question.
just so they can put another home on it?
Yeah, so they, this had a trailer house on it, but they took it off about 10, 12 years ago.
Yep.
So they lost that non-conformity
Yeah,
based
okay.
on the density standard.
Right.
So they want to rezone that. That's actually, some relation, maybe a sister or something that's next door. They signed the application agreeing to it. So everything was in place and I think his son or somebody's gonna.
Yeah, so the
build a new
building
home
site's
there.
already there, it's just,
Yep,
they're just gonna
there's-
put another house there so they can get a
Yep.
permit. Yep, got it.
Yep.
Okay, any further discussion? Did we have a motion on this? We did, didn't we?
Yep.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
All right, thank you. Lastly, here is a resolution to support the adoption of the Crow Wing River Comprehensive Watershed Management Plan. Crow Wing River Comprehensive Watershed Management Plan has been completed through the One Watershed, One Plan process. The plan has been through the public comment period and the public hearing. The draft plan is prepared for Bowser approval. The request of the policy committee is that each local board adopt the plan pending Bowser approval. So the options are a motion to adopt the plan pending Bowser approval or a motion to not adopt the plan. Recommendation is adoption of the Crow Wing River Comprehensive Watershed Management Plan pending the approval of the Board on Water and Soil Resources.
Okay, is there a motion for the support of the adoption of the Crow Wing One Watershed Plan?
I'll make a motion to support adoption of the Crow Wing River CWMP.
Okay, motion by Nazca. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denny. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
So outside of the small little portion of the Mississippi Sartell, that's our last water plan.
Yes,
It's been a long time coming,
yes.
so. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Adam.
you.
But they're doing good things, bringing funding into, for water. It's good.
Demolition landfill permit reissuance.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yes.
So our demolition landfill, Todd County's, it has a permit that lasts 10 years. So every 10 years, we have to renew it with the MPCA. So we've been working, Mike Eberly and I, with Woodseth to prepare a report and application to the MPCA to do that. So the board action, as shown here, is to authorize staff to sign the permit reissuance application form for submittal or not to. And I'll, if I could, just give a little bit of background on this. Yeah, so if you could go to that picture. I'll just give you a little background. One more, there we go, right there. So if you look at this drawing here, the area to the north, it's kind of shaded green. That was closed last year, which is great because now it'll have grass growing on it and we just need to check it to make sure there's no erosion. And then the area that has the red box around it, that's the actual area that's currently permitted to operate. And currently we're landfilling there. However, that area, we're running out of space essentially to continue filling in that. So in our permit reissuance, we're asking to use the area that's in that green with a yellow fill. And then there's additional area in blue below there that's been designed by Woodseth. It was shown in the last permit and it's still shown in the reissuance. But they don't allow you to use all the space. Generally, what they like to do is to give you about 10 years of airspace capacity in your permit. So, I mean, that's the 30,000 foot simple view of this. Some more minor issues that I think it's important to share with you is that the state has been working on rule revisions. They've been very clear that they want to reinvent demolition landfill requirements. They want liners with leachate collection. They want daily cover, so at the end of every day we have to put dirt over the demolition waste. They want a synthetic final cover in the closure, and they want financial assurance. So those things are gonna, you know, I haven't calculated, but as we've talked with other landfills, that's easily gonna double or triple the cost of running the facility. Again, we've talked at committee level with Commissioners Newman and Denny about this. The only way realistically to continue operating this landfill, if those rules are passed, would be to create some partnership where multiple counties use it. When you think about your location, we've talked with about 10 counties, we've met together and discussed this. And, you know, Wadena and Otter Tail, and maybe, I can't remember which one is to the north, Pope or Douglas. I should know that. Alexandria is Douglas, right?
Cass?
Yeah,
Cass or Growing?
Becker.
Wadena?
Thank you.
Won't be Douglas,
Yeah,
no way.
so Douglas, those are the ones that are nearby that have any demand for a regional partnership. And we don't want to, you know, we've been talking at the committee level, but maybe it's best not to do that. The other option is to explore like a long-term agreement with Morrison County because they already have a landfill. So our next step as a staff level is to be having conversations with them and continuing to have the conversations with Wadena and Otter Tail and Douglas. Pope being Glenwood, right? Pope really doesn't need any partnership because they have a rather large demolition landfill in their county with Tom Kramer. And then if you go further east and further north, they already have other partnerships, like Hubbard County is working with the 9-county region to the north. So the action we're requesting of you is to reissue the permit. We're gonna continue moving on based on the current rules, but we just wanted to give you a little bit of a view of some other things that we've considered as we've prepared this with a consultant. So any questions?
Questions? What's the length of time do you see before these new rules and regulations would come into effect?
Chair, about 20 years ago, they started working on this.
Okay,
Then they got tired and they quit for about 15 years. And
okay,
then 5 years ago, they started again and said there was a hot priority. They'd have it done about 2 years ago.
okay.
And then now, election happened and the hold on, which one is it? Is it the Senate that's tied? So there's a little bit less of a hold there, but the MPC is allowed to do rulemaking without, it doesn't go through Senate and House.
Yeah.
So they're allowed to just do that with public hearings and public comment. I was on the rule advisory panel that went over this where we had multiple representatives sharing our feelings on it, and we've objected to some of these things because this would make it essentially, like we've talked about, cost prohibitive for you to continue operating this facility.
And Morris is where we has a larger,
So the Morrison County
yeah,
owns and operates its own municipal solid waste landfill, and we bring about 4,000 tons of MSW there. Currently, we enjoy having our own facility and having a less transport cost by bringing our demolition waste here. But they do have a demolition waste landfill in Morrison as well.
any other questions or comments?
The only question or comment I have is garbage is expensive.
Yes, very. Okay. So right now, we're looking at, for a motion for the approval of the revised environmental health, no, I'm wrong, the demolition landfill permit
Reissuance.
reissuance.
So move.
Okay, motion by Byers. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denny. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And it carries for as long as it lasts.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, Jackie.
Morning.
Good morning.
We have a few board action forms to present to you this morning to get through before the first of the year. But the first one being to approve the revised environmental health ordinance. Some background. Todd County Health and Human Services has revised its environmental health ordinance to be implemented in 2025 and held at the first public hearing, implemented in 25, and held the first public hearing on October 15, 2024, second public hearing on November 4th, 2024. Notice of the public hearings on October 15th and November 4th were published in the Todd County newspapers the weeks of September 23rd, 30th, 2024, and it was posted on. A copy of the revised ordinance is also attached. Your options are to approve the revised environmental health ordinance or to not approve. It's our recommendation you approve the environmental health ordinance.
Okay,
Chair, I have not received any calls. Catherine? Okay.
no comments?
No comments.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the revised environmental health ordinance?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Denny. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Newman. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next board action form is the revised public health nurse job description. Some background. At the November 4th, 2024 work session, the revised public health nurse job description was discussed. It has been modified to include the WIC coordinator duties. It's your options to approve the revised public health nurse job description, to not approve. It's our recommendation you approve the PHN job description.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the revised public health nurse job description?
So moved.
A motion by Newman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Noska. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
Thank you. We'll bring, at the next board meeting on December 3rd, the elimination for the WIC coordinator job description. And in the meantime, we'll go to personnel to request to post for a PHN and then go through that process.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, our next board action form is a resolution am I in the right one? Yes, a resolution establishing the support for the Clay County. Some background, Clay County is seeking support from the surrounding counties in their efforts to request Minnesota grant funds design and remodel for the West Central Juvenile Treatment Center non-secure unit into an 18-bed psychiatric residential treatment facility, also known as a PRFT. Furthermore, Clay County is seeking funding to design, construct, furnish, and equip a non-secure unit within Clay County to replace the existing facility. The overall impact of this request is to establish a PRTF programming to support the needs of children from the surrounding area, communities, and counties with serious and complex mental health needs. Your options are to approve the resolution that has been attached, establishing support for Clay County to request the Minnesota bond funds for infrastructure and development of the psychiatric residential treatment facility in Clay County, or to not approve. It's our recommendation you approve the resolution establishing the support for Clay County to request the Minnesota grant funds to develop a psychiatric residential treatment facility in Clay County and construct and equip a new non-secure unit within Clay County to replace the existing facility.
Yeah, and Jackie, we're actually part of the Clay County service area, and that's where we also get our beds from. I very highly recommend that we approve this. I attend their meetings quarterly, and they've been working on this project for some time.
They really do a good job to look at the counties that are participating and contribute fiscally to really meet the needs of the kids in our consortium, I guess. John, any additional? I think we've come before. There no dollars have been established or set aside by the legislature, so they're hoping to be able to get some of those dollars this time around.
Yep. And I know you guys had a chance to tour the facility up there also, which is good to see, yeah. With that, I would ask for a motion for a resolution establishing support for the Clay County. And
So
I don't, okay, facility. Motion by Byers, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denny. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries. Thank you.
Keep fingers crossed we can get this through this year.
Yes.
All right, next is approve the updated Todd County Mental Health Local Advisory Council, also known as the LAC. Some background, the mission of the Todd County Mental Health Advisory Council is to review, evaluate, and make recommendations regarding the element of the local mental health care system to the Region 5+ Mental Health Local Advisory Council and annually report those recommendations to the Todd County Board of Commissioners and the State Advisory Council on Mental Health. The updated LAC bylaws have been reviewed by the Todd County Attorney and approved by the Todd County LAC. The bylaws need to be reviewed annually and signed by the Todd County of Commissioners, Board of Commissioners. Your options are to approve the Todd County Mental Health Advisory Council bylaws or to not approve. It's our recommendation you approve the Todd County Mental Health Advisory Council bylaws.
Okay. Denise, can I put you back down to, I think it's page 105 of the contract? It just scroll down, Denise. It's just the last page of the contract. Yep. Okay, there's no signature for the board to sign it.
There is.
There is, scroll up, please, Denise. Because this isn't part of the bylaws.
Right, if you can keep going, one more, right there.
Right there.
Okay. Okay, and this is just, what's this then? The next signature page?
It's for the SEP contract.
It's the next
It's
item.
it's the next board
Okay,
action
it's the
form.
next one.
Yeah.
Okay, excuse me then. Okay, and I would ask for approval of the updated Todd County Medical Health Local Advisory Council bylaws.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Nasca. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Byers. Discussion.
Yes, Madam Chair, $20 stipend per meeting. That's it? Are you gonna be able to get people for $20?
And
And then
that-
22 cents a mile, that's the other one. It's like-
Yep, and that's the federal mileage rate, but yes, some LACs don't even pay their consumer reps to come, so it is a decent amount. We only have one consumer rep, which is also one of our goals for this year because we're supposed to have 51% participation rate, but she feels that is a fair rate because she wants to also be careful of her benefits as well, because she's also chair of our regional LAC and our consumer rep on our regional adult mental health initiative, so she feels it's fair.
I'm just a little concerned that $20 is like, ooh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
and
can
it's-
affect their benefits at the end of the day, that.
Yes. Yeah, and that is something we can definitely consider each time we review this.
Thank you for recognizing that.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
All right, now we'll move on to SEP, Rural Minnesota SEP Employment Services Contract Renewal. Some background, Rural Minnesota SEP contracts with Todd County Health and Human Services to provide MFIP and DWP employment services. We had SEP in here, I think, in October.
Right.
Maybe even it was November 4th, just to do their annual review. Your options are to approve the January 1st, 2025 till December 31st, 2025 renewal contract for Rural Minnesota SEP to provide MFIP and DWP employment services, or to not approve. Our recommendation is to approve the renewal contract for rural Minnesota SEP to provide MFIP and DWP employment for 2025.
Okay, I would ask for a motion for the rural Minnesota STEP employment service contract renewal.
So moved.
Motion by
Noska.
Noska. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Byers. He's so close, I hear him easier. Discussion? Having no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed and carries.
Thank you. Next, we have the STEP purchase of service and host county contract renewal. Some background. STEP provides day training and habilitation and supportive employment services for clients with mental health and developmental disabilities. STEP receives referrals from Todd County and other counties to provide these services. We did have STEP in here, I believe, recently, and also to provide their annual update. Your options are to approve STEP purchase of service and host county contract renewal or to not approve. It's our recommendation to approve the STEP purchase of service and host county contract renewal for 2025.
Okay. I have another question on this one, and hopefully I got it right. It would be page 114. And I believe it lists the county.
Corey?
Yeah, it lists the regional Sourcewell for the county. Yeah, is that normal, or
I think that's how
do you
we-
have communications back and forth? I guess that's what concerns me is Sourcewell is listed as the county contact.
We contract with Sourcewell to help with our management of our contracts similar to this and similar to Morrison Todd, Wadena, Cass, Crow-Wing, and Aitken. So she manages the contracts on behalf of Todd County. So it is filtered through Sourcewell to assure there's alignment with similar agencies. There's a STEP in Morrison, there's Wausau in Wadena County, that these services and contract is similar across the region. So yes, that is what we generally
So
see from year to year.
how do we keep the contact? I mean, do you have contact with her then, or how does this come about?
So how it works is Amanda gets a hold of us and I actually review this contract and we work together on making any changes along with Corey. So it's reviewed by us and we get the final say on it.
Okay. It just looks funky when you read it,
Right.
okay?
Yep.
Well, and Madam Chair, and it does, you know, Sourcewell's getting more and more tentacles into county government. And it's just starting to look a little like, what the hell are they doing? And I've had the conversation with Representative Weiner about the same effect too. So it's just like, you know, they're coming into county government, they're taking over some of our duties, and yeah.
We contract them to do that, so, and
I understand
yeah.
that, but it's just, if, from the outside, you look at it, you're going, okay, Sourcewell is supposed to be an independent agency, all of a sudden now they're starting to come into the counties and doing county
Is there some
government
way
work.
we could rewrite that as to have Todd County and then put Amanda with Regional Contract Administrator under that? I mean, is it necessary or not? Because we're getting that from other outside people.
We
That concern.
could, on behalf of Todd County, maybe.
Yeah, that would be,
Yeah,
We can do that. Do you, so are you, I'm questioning, was there approval? And did you have a motion and a second?
no, I
don't
haven't
have
had
a
no
motion.
motion.
Oh, okay, okay.
This is just discussion.
Okay, I didn't know what the process was.
I didn't
if
have
it
a
had-
motion.
No, you did not. Okay,
No.
okay.
'Cause I wanted to bring this
Would you
forward
want that
before I asked for a
revised and
motion.
brought back, I guess is what I'm asking, or would,
Do we have time to do that, Jackie? Or
Yes,
can we
have
just?
time.
we
Just-
do?
Just that simple word change will be
Yeah,
easy
absolutely.
enough,
Okay,
and we can bring
because
it
I believe
back.
the next contract is written the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to see the Todd County portion of that.
And I can check with Amanda too to see what other counties put for the wording under that piece too. Otherwise, we can put on behalf of Todd County or.
Are you okay with the on behalf of Todd County?
I would think so. And if you just want to add that to the next 2 contracts, I'd be okay with that too. I mean,
Okay.
it's how you want to do it, because I don't want to hold them up if there's a date or something, but to me, it's just kind of unclear.
We can do whatever the board chooses. That is not a problem.
I would look for the board for
Well, obviously, this
recommendation.
motion's not gonna carry right now. We're not gonna
No.
deal this, so can we at least have a discussion? Can we talk to whoever we need to, and they don't need an answer this minute.
No, so
can
we would
definitely
just,
Some from leadership will get to you this week probably and tell you what we want on there.
Yeah, if you could do that, and then we can get it updated for the next board meeting. That should
Okay.
be simple enough.
Really, these contractors are run through us and written and approved by us, being Todd County. We are the owner of the contract, so if we want that change, they absolutely do not have a problem with that.
okay. I would appreciate that.
Madam Chair, if you would just move to table this till the next meeting.
I would move to table the step purchase of service and host county contract renewal until the next meeting, which would be December 3rd? That's all right?
That is just fine.
Okay, thank you. And then on 11.6, the step purchase contract, and I think it's on page 134, page 7 of the contract, is the same, and I would move to table that until the December 3rd meeting, and to have that language change also in that
Not a
contract.
problem,
Okay.
truly.
Thank you.
Yep.
And next we go down to the Northern Pines, 11.7.
That was the
That
Northern
was Northern
Pines.
Pines.
Oh, that was
That
Northern
was
Pines,
the
okay.
Northern Pines.
Yep. Okay, thank you. And then we'll go into administration. Worse than that, I keep losing this on my iPad.
All right, good morning. So the BIF I'm bringing back from last board meeting regarding the unpaid leave of absence. Background on here is as of October 28th, 2024, employee 486 has exhausted all FMLA protected leave. The subject has submitted both a written request for a leave of absence and a required doctor's statement. Per the union contract and with board approval, the employee may be granted unpaid medical/disability leave for up to 1 year. At the November 4th board meeting, employee 486 was granted a 30-day leave of absence starting on October 29th. The Board of Commissioners have requested that this item be revisited at the next board meeting. So option 1 would be approve an extension of the medical leave of absence for whatever length of time, or option 2, do not approve to extend the 30-day unpaid leave of absence.
Okay, thank you, Nellie. At this time, I would ask for a motion, but you have to state what you would like the motion to be. And this is for the unpaid leave of absence.
I'll make a motion to not approve to extend the 30-day unpaid leave of absence.
To
Not approve
not approve.
the extension. So the leave of absence will end 30 days after October 29th.
Okay, we have a motion to not approve. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Newman. Discussion.
Yeah, I have a quick question.
Yes.
We have gone through the appropriate, what's the word I'm looking for? Policy stuff, personnel policy stuff, as far, and then with the bargaining units and all that stuff.
I guess, what's your question, Bob, or what?
Discussion, we've gone through all the personnel policy stuff, we've gone through, looked at this from both sides.
And also the union policy.
Yeah, so it'd be union contract language, and that I had shared with you guys in an email yesterday
That's correct.
regarding, what to consider when making this decision.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
Thank you.
Okay, the university extension that was withdrawn from, and then now we will go into a closed session for performance evaluation of our county coordinator. The commissioners will hold a closed session pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D.05 for the purpose of evaluating the performance of an individual subject to the board authority. And the time is 10 o'clock. So we'll go into closed session now. Oh, do I have to have a motion to go into
Yes,
closed
Madam
session?
Chair.
Is there a motion to go
Yes,
into
it is
closed
a motion
session?
to go in closed.
So moved.
Motion by Byers, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Newman. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
And carries.
I didn't, when we did make that decision to give them 30 more days, I didn't realize that was holding our department up so damn bad.
That's probably my week.
I've been around it for 10 years, you know, and working in that all the time.
I was at a meeting in Rock Center, I can't remember, the Mississippi Watershed there, but Bowser was there.
Yep.
You ready? Okay, the time is, I believe, 10:30, and I would ask for a motion to reopen our meeting.
Motion to reopen.
Motion by Nazca, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Danny. Discussion? No discussion, we will, all in favor?
Aye.
We will go ahead and reopen our meeting, and my statement is we had a positive review of the evaluation. With that, we'll go into standing reports, County Auditor Treasurer.
Yes, I just wanted to give you guys a little update on the final numbers for the election. Our voter turnout was 91.7%, that being 15,000 pre-registered voters at 7 a.m. 1,343 were new registrants on election day. 2,201 were accepted absentee ballots, and 13,787 were the total number of persons voting in Todd County. There is a recount scheduled for Commissioner District 1. That is for Thursday, November 21st at 9 a.m. here in the county boardroom. The current vote totals are 1,201 for Barb Becker and 1,200 for Sharon Teal. There were 2,819 ballots cast for this race across 6 different precincts within Todd County that they hold. And the next board meeting is scheduled for December 3rd. We just want to kindly remind you, due to Thanksgiving and holiday weekend, any agenda items must be to the clerk file email address by noon on Tuesday, the 26th. So that's a shortened time frame, but please respect those time frames. And I think that's all I have.
Okay. Let's see, County Coordinator.
So just 2 things. One, last week on Tuesday, November 12th, I attended the emergency disaster planning that was put on by the EMS directors from Morrison County and from Wadena County, and then our very own Mike Wisniewski from Todd County. And they did an excellent job. They put it on an event all day long for probably about 20 to 25 city administrators and local law enforcement about emergency planning. And it was really done well. Mike did a fantastic job coordinating and speaking at the event. And then the only other thing, I've had a number of meetings going on with department heads and personnel, but I also started what we're calling our Thursday Vibe meeting in administration, and that's something we're going to be doing on a bi-monthly basis where we meet to connect and talk about things in the office. So that's been my week.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, Commissioner Byers.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The meetings that I attended between last meeting and this, the Ditch 41 meeting, we all attended. Yesterday, we had housing. What's the title of that, Barb? Is it?
Jackie,
That's a HRA and Housing Trust Fund discussion about funds that we've received from the state of Minnesota for housing and determining what we might want to do with those funds.
Long story short, we have $200,000 to utilize, and we're looking at those options on immediate needs for potentially income-based housing versus a long-term plan. But Melissa Wyman was there with Barb and I and Jackie and Kim Wallace. Yeah. And we had questions for Denise, so Denise, you got the homework, so.
yeah.
And then last night, joined Lou at the TCDC meeting with Melissa, and we have her review coming up in a couple weeks. That's it.
Commissioner Naska.
Yeah, just some of the high notes here. We had our Egg Society annual meeting. There was a little bit of turnover on the board, but we'll see some new faces on the Egg Society and Fair Board. The food was good at the Legion again, like usual. That was on the 6th. Election canvassing was as exciting as it always is, right, Denise? Yeah. Other than that, Bob mentioned pretty much everything, so.
Lou, may I ask if you get the extension members a new list, will you pass that on to my office?
Oh, the new list for.
New list of officers or
Yeah,
whoever.
yep.
And
Officers
then
and contact
also,
information, probably.
yep, that'd be great. And then also remind them, I don't think they've been present to do an annual report before the board about after,
Oh, they haven't?
no, their budget, how their ticket take was at the fair.
I know they were planning on it, but
They
it's-
were
yeah,
planning on
better-
it, but I
Yeah.
was told by the secretary at the time that they usually would like to wait till November because then they have
Had-
their audit done or something. It's their
Right, they
end.
would have it for the annual meeting.
That may be something to do with the turnover here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I bet.
Okay.
That's all I have, yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Commissioner Denny?
Yeah, besides the regular meetings, we had that special meeting for Ditch 41. Also election canvassing we did with Commissioner Noska. And then our solid waste, the highlights of that. Mr. McCon touched on that during our meeting about the landfill. And then we had a little slight hiccup in some grade elevation change. But I'll let Mike and Mr. McCon explain that in our following meeting here a little bit better in depth on that. But other than that, that was the highlights of the last couple weeks here. So thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Newman?
Yes, Madam Chair. On Thursday the 7th, I had a Central Minnesota Council on Aging meeting, and I do have the book on needs assessment report for 2024. So if you guys want to take a look at it, and good reading right there. Also, I have Minnesota Board of Aging Senior Nutrition Program, their audit, more good reading. So, next I had department head meeting on the 13th, personnel on the 13th, Ditch 41 on the 14th, solid waste, Rainbow Rider. And last night I missed the airport meeting. I was cleaning a deer, so I didn't get a chance to go to that. And then I do have a question. Both the chair and the vice chair sit on water and soil. The last two meetings were out of county. One was in Stearns, and this last Thursday was in Douglas. I do have some questions on as far as taking county meetings out of the county and not spending spending tax money back in the county. So I do have a little question on that, and I don't know what the policy is as far as that, but it just, for me to attend one in Stearns and be back in Briarville by 10 was really hard, and the same with Alexandria. By the time I got up to Alexandria, I'd have to turn around and go back to Briarville, so just some concerns.
Okay, thank you. For myself, we had policy on the 6th, and department head on the 13th, along with personnel on the 13th. Rainbow Rider meeting on the 14th, along with Ditch 41 meeting on the 14th. Broadband meeting, last night I attended with Jackie, and the housing HRA, which Bob also attended. And I also would have to make a comment about soil and water too, because I'm part of that board. And to be in Alexandria at that time of the morning and to be back, because we had other meetings going that day, it's almost makes it impossible for us to attend those meetings, so. With that, if there's nothing else to come before the board, I would ask for a motion to adjourn until December 3rd.
So moved.
Motion by Newman, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denny. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed and carries. So we will be adjourned until December 3rd. We'll take just a few minutes, and then we'll go right into work session. Yes, work session. Will be Chris and Mike. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Just to kind of give you a really quick, brief explanation where we're at with the facility itself. We do have some pictures that we will pull up here shortly. Kind of referring back to what Mr. Denny had just mentioned, the biggest issue that we have right now is there were some elevation changes between the civil engineering plans and the structural design plans. So there was an elevation problem between the office scale house facility was roughly 3 feet lower than it should have been. So there's, or 18 inches, I'm sorry, 1.5 feet. Change there, so they're working on a design on how we're gonna correct that drainage issue, and it lies on the west side of the office scale house between that and the transfer station building itself. So we're waiting for some information from Stantec and getting that design back to us so we can start moving forward on how we're gonna correct that. Comments,
So this is more
questions?
of a drainage
Do you want to see
Yeah.
the pictures?
Yeah, you can pull up the first one.
pictures?
We'll leave that one for last. Just pull up the facility pictures, please.
Sure.
So that's the office scale house. As you can see, the windows are installed. The rock is in place and the top of it has the siding installed. So a lot of it, the electrical is all in place inside the building. So, and that's the grading area. Between that, you can see the girders to the back side of the window. That area between there and that office scale house building is where the correction is going to be needed. But they're moving right along on the facility itself. They poured the transformer pad for the office scale house this week, so we can move on forward to that, because they want to keep moving forward on the building. When you have inclement weather like we have today, they can keep working inside and moving forward with that. 80% electrical, I would guess, is already there. So they're moving right along on that part of it. The next picture should be of the transfer station building itself.
Well, this is the only thing I have. This is Bertram, isn't it?
Yep, that's Bertram.
Okay, I don't have another picture.
Okay,
I only had this one.
yeah, we had one of that and then just
Unless
one.
there's not, oh, I'm sorry. They're coming.
So that's kind of where the inside of the office space. That area right there is the first part of the building when you walk in. That's the area for the customers to use. And you can scroll down, there's some more.
Okay.
Just to kind of give it. So that's where they're at right now on the transfer station building. The front part, the lower section, is the HHW facility and the reuse store. So you can see that's pretty well framed. They will start attaching wall panels shortly on that. The girders on the north side of the building are all done and installed, and they have 6 more of the roof structure girders to be put in. And then they will start attaching wall panels on the transfer station and start closing the facility up. So they're moving right along on that part of it as well. The grading is pretty much in. They started doing some of the structural storm sewer has been installed. So they're moving right along on that as well, trying to get things buttoned up. The nice thing with it, as the weather's held off and getting all that big material off the ground for snow removal has been really big for us, because it was really full. The yard was stuff laying all over. So everything is pretty well graded right now. So we're in good shape for snow removal right now.
Yeah. I guess my question to you is, I mean, the buildings, like they're coming along, how are we doing budget-wise and money-wise and payments, and
Yep.
how are things coming in that direction?
So we just, at the beginning of November, we received the October pay request from High Tech. It was about just under $1 million. And so just yesterday, I emailed the request for reimbursement to the state of Minnesota for that. So they pay 75% of it. We did just review also Minnesota's track record for repaying us. So like,
Yeah.
we send them the request and then they gotta send a check back. And they're a couple months behind on that. So we'll send them a call. But as far as, you know, our internal accounting, maybe I can just put Denise on the spot and say, has there been any issues for you in the auditor's office for the
No,
process?
we addressed the first cycle around was a little difficult because they haven't been through it before, as far as with our county. So we got that all taken care of, and it's been right on schedule now, so.
Okay. So as far as
So they get the
costs and
bills to
everything,
us, yeah.
we're going like we're supposed to,
Right.
like was budgeted.
Yep, and we've, asked questions of the MPCA. They've been good to respond when needed. One clarification that I had forgotten is the grant money that they've provided can't be used to spend on vehicles or equipment that can travel over the highway. So Mike was just reminding me that, we should be receiving the trailer or the semi.
The semi is in process of getting the hydraulic pump installed, so we anticipate seeing that by the end of the week, ready for pickup. And the 2 semi-trailers that we're gonna use for hauling MSW to Perham is, they're in the last stages of installing the tarp systems, and then we should be able to see them next week. And that's referring to what Chris is saying, that we have to use our ARPA money for that. We can't, that's not cap grant products that we can purchase through the cap grant money. The wheeled excavator that we're gonna propose here shortly to order that anything through the structural part of it and the facility part, we can use cap grant money on. So
that's going well because, there's money in these different buckets and we're spending it,
Out of the right bucket.
yeah, on its eligibility, so.
Yeah, okay.
We do anticipate, there's 2 change orders I anticipate. One is, and we had shared this with the board this spring, the overhead power that comes into the site was removed because it was in the way of the building, and then it was replaced with underground power. And Minnesota Powers had asked for money, and High Tech paid it and said, hey, we want to pass that on to you when it's done, because they said that's not part of our work. And I've talked to Jeff Hansen recently at High Tech and said, that work's all done, you need to send us the invoice. So once we receive that, we'll be coming back to you with it. The other one that I don't know, but is resolving this 1.5 foot elevation change. Our recommendation is that we should get this figured out sooner than later. Like Mike said, Stantec is currently working on it. They're collaborating with High Tech. But I think we want to sit down with Commissioners Newman and Denny with them to just resolve it. Because, on a scale of 1 to 10, I think this problem is a 1. But, we don't want it to fester. This is actually good timing because it's a grading issue and it's freezing up. So they literally, when we found this out, we asked them if the manholes in that area are in, and they said no. And we said, why don't you hold off till spring? Because why pay to put the manholes in, and then if the elevations change, now you have to pull them out? And they were like, yeah, that makes sense to us. So if we get this turned around, and under the supervision of the commissioners on the committee, I think we can resolve that stuff quickly.
Okay,
Madam Chair,
yeah.
I'm just asking this out of curiosity and don't even know if it applies. But putting in all this new equipment and lighting and stuff, will there be any rebates that you can reach out to Minnesota Power for putting in like LED lighting? And I just know that Mitch has
Mitch does it,
received a
yeah.
huge rebate for switching out.
Yeah, we
And
can
so I'm
ask.
just wondering if Center Point or Minnesota Power would be
Yeah,
having any of those type of rebates
Yeah,
for
we can
going
ask.
from our old facility to this with
Yeah.
outdated.
and I don't know that they do it for new construction, but we'll ask.
Okay.
Yep. We were required by the grant to do, it's called B3 certification, which is that they want the most energy saving, lowest carbon footprint design, so,
Okay, very good, thank you.
yep.
I guess my other question is timeline. They're on track with where we should be at this point, and, I mean, the weather's been beautiful out.
Yep. Yeah, they're still saying the end of June
End of June?
completion, yep.
And I think our contract is September.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
Let's just plan on September, but,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, we planned and planned and
Right.
planned.
right. But yeah, the progress is going well there. Everything is moving forward.
Yep. It's been good.
Probably the next big step that will be really fun to see is when we start pouring flooring, the concrete floor inside of the building. But that's still a little ways out.
And they should be able to complete the inside of that office building, this winter, because it's enclosed already. Yeah. Commissioners, any questions? You guys see it all the time, so.
Right. And then the only item if I may, Madam Chair, is if you want to bring up the Bertram site, just to
Okay.
bring this back up again, we talked a little bit about it, but Mr. Feldbaum and myself, we made this design. So this is the location of the remote bin site, and this excavation has been done and completed. So the remote bin site is established in Bertram. So we anticipate doing fencing and then some asphalt surfacing in June of next year. And then that should be completed. So just to give you the heads up on where we're at with that remote recycling grant. And then I anticipate here this middle of this month, we're having a meeting with West Union to do our second site. So they're on board as well to establish something of this
This is
nature.
the money through Region 5 then?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So just to kind of give you up, and that's where the site is. We redid the approach, and then the pad is kind of in that shaded area to the right. You can see some flags there, but so they're very excited to it. And then we're looking at costs for remote cameras as well. For security reasons, I reached out to Mike Allen and Mr. Lindeman as far as, if we have illegal dumping issues, which they had before in that facility. And this is one way we can control that by putting in remote cameras and then making a lock gated system. So that's what we're using right now, so.
Mike, can I ask, are these recycled bins like with the big heavy lift?
No, these ones will be accessible. We're actually changing all them out through the grant. So it's going to be user-friendly. There's just going to be narrow slots in them.
Perfect.
So they can crush them down. So there's no contact to injuries. They don't have to open no lids. It's all basically self-serve and very easy for them to use, so.
Thank you, because I had an MCIT claim years ago with a gentleman where it fell down on him, so.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
Okay, very good.
all right.
If there's no other questions? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for the update. Yes,
If I
Chris.
could just, Mike has been completely running that project, and I'm completely oblivious to it, and just appreciate him doing it.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Good morning, Ganette.
Good morning again. Okay. First topic here is the Advanced Septic Inspector Services. I had sent this out in an email. Commissioner Noska and I had some back and forth via email, and then I checked with Commissioner Becker about adding this to work session to see if there's any follow-up we wanted to discuss related to it. We had always had this contract with Stearns County to provide these advanced septic system design review inspection, and they have now terminated the contract. So we were gonna be looking into how to address that, and before I could really even think too deep about it, I had a conversation with Morrison County. They're sending staff to get certified as advanced inspectors. So if they've agreed that when their staff is up to speed, that they would do a similar contract with Todd County to provide those services to us. And I really think that that's the best way to resolve this long-term, because we don't have a huge demand for these advanced systems. But I just want to open up for discussion if there was any other thoughts on how to address this.
Commissioners?
I've got some, Madam
Yes.
Chair. My thoughts were, Adam and I spoke through email back and forth. It's a $200 course. It's not a lot for us to get our people certified. I know maybe won't be up to practice as much because they're not getting as much activity in advanced systems. But for $200 for us to pay that to have our certified staff here in-house, so we don't have to contract out, I don't think that's a huge investment.
Yeah, and I don't know if I misspoke or mistyped something, but it's $2,000.
Oh, $2,000.
$2,000 for all
Okay.
the classes, and then
Maybe I was wrong when I
hotel,
misread it.
travel costs,
Okay.
whatever. It's not substantial, and we would have the services right here. We just don't have the demand. You know, I've been in Todd County for a little over 5 years, and we've maybe had 2.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, it's not a lot. We may have more in the future. It's hard to say.
Right,
We just
okay,
haven't
well, yeah,
had a
that's
demand.
fine. If it's 2,000 and we only have 2 here that need to be inspected, how often are they inspected, the advanced system?
Well, we're only inspecting them at that time of
At the
install.
install time?
So you
Okay.
have your site stuff you gotta do, review the design, then it gets
Yeah,
installed, and we
okay.
inspect it, and then permit it.
Yeah.
And from there, it has to be, any inspections of existing systems are done privately, and they just submit the
Well,
documentation to
maybe
the
it's something we
county.
can visit if we start to get more systems then.
Sure.
So Madam Chair,
Yes,
Pat Schultz works for Douglas County. I do believe he does their septic inspections. Is he a licensed, large installer?
Yeah, we looked that up as we were searching for different options, and I believe he's only an intermediate inspector. I'm assuming that's
He's in Long Prairie.
because,
Lives in Long Prairie, works for Douglas County, so
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
let's reach out to Douglas and see what they got.
sure. I'll reach out to Dave Rush about that and just see if he's willing to do something. I don't know what their demand is. It's higher than ours, that's for sure. But I can ask the question, and ultimately, there's going to be this in-between time where we don't have an advanced person, and if we had a system come through, we just have to go to the private sector to do that work for us and pay an advanced inspector to do it. But we can potentially avoid that. We can certainly reach out to Douglas County and see if what their offer to us would be.
Okay.
If anything, that's no problem.
Adam, do you want to bring this to a board meeting for a service agreement with Morrison County, or
Yes, we will do that once
once you
they're-
get in contact and?
Yeah,
and
once they
move
have
forward?
their staff up to speed, because I don't know who their staff person is, but they'll go to the multitude of
Okay.
classes, and then they have to actually do like mentoring under a person that's licensed already before they can kind of set out on their own. So it'll take some time.
Okay. Any other questions? Nope.
That was it on that one?
Yep.
Okay,
we're good
very
on
well. Okay. All right. Okay, next, cannabis ordinance. So, this has been to the planning commission twice now. What we have, it should be in the packet there, Denise, if you, yep, keep going. This is all the stuff we just talked about. There we go. That's the start of it. So what we have here, a model ordinance was provided to the county, cities, whatever, to kind of plug and play, put your entity's title in there as a basis to start. So that's what we're working on. All the rules in here are reference to the statute, is what you'll find in there. The local regulation that we have is establishing setbacks, zoning districts where they can be located, kind of that basic zoning stuff, and then we have the registration process. That's kind of the basis of the whole thing here. I think I sent this out earlier last week, so I'm hoping you guys had a chance to read through it. I'll take any questions you have. Now's a good time. I can take those questions, and if I don't have an answer, get an answer. I'll ask the question to the planning commission so we can answer it at a planning commission hearing and make any changes, incorporate any of that stuff into this before we get to that kind of December timeline we've set for ourselves. But we also have another work session in between there too to talk more about this. But I don't know if there's anything specific you wanted me to walk through, or if you just want to start throwing questions and comments at me, I'm willing to go whatever direction here.
Okay. Adam, has any of the cities been, or townships been involved in this at all?
Very limited. Eagle Bend, is that where that one?
Well, we did, not only, we did a survey out, we did a written survey asking about their intentions, all of the townships and the cities in Todd County. And then we held a meeting where we invited them all in person or over Zoom to gather input. And really, there hasn't been a lot of interest in taking on registration. That's really what we were asking, is if communities would want to either defer to the county or do their own registration. I think in the end, we saw two cities, I know City of Long Prairie, and I believe, is it City of
It was Clarissa or
Clarissa?
Eagle Bend?
Yeah,
Which one?
that want to do their own. Otherwise, everyone was mainly just deferring to us, the county. So I think the plan is to go forward with the ordinance, which would limit 3 businesses based on our population in the county. Now, what those communities are going to do is they themselves will pass their own ordinance if that's their plan. And then it gets really tricky when you're working together. But I think that they have really not said a whole lot, our communities.
No, And Jackie's reached out with that survey and we invited them to that meeting. I have had a little bit of back and forth with Bruce Township, mostly because they do their own planning and zoning. So they just wanted to model what they do after what the county does. Little bit of conversation with the city of Long Prairie, and then a little bit, I can't remember which one of those two cities it was, but she actually did attend our little meeting here, so that was good. Yes, all right, awesome, there we go, Clarissa. So what is Clarissa's plan going forward?
Well, we talked about it last night at our meeting, and, he's gonna take it, our mayor's gonna take it to our attorney today,
Okay,
so we'll see what he suggests we do,
Sure.
so.
okay, awesome, thank you.
Yeah, I was curious too, with the city of Staples, have we heard anything from them?
I have not. I know that they're working on their own ordinance. I don't know if they're gonna handle their own registration process. And really, in my mind, that's how this would work. Because every city, township that does their own planning and zoning can set their own standards for what their setbacks are, where they're gonna allow them, different things like that. But we'd have kind of one central database, which would be Todd County, for registering of all those businesses. So we can really keep tabs on what's out there as a whole throughout the county. But I don't know that the county board here wants to dictate some of the decisions for city councils or anything. So they can make those decisions to issue the permits if it meets their ordinance requirements, but then send them to the county to actually register that business. And that would allow us to really, if we want to limit the registrations countywide, across county, cities, different townships, to those 3 retail businesses, you almost have to have that centralized system.
You know, because I know there's one business that's looking already to go into Staples area. We've heard that.
Yep.
So I guess, because this has all got to be passed and done by the end of December. So we're going to have to get in contact with the cities to make sure that everybody's on board with what we're,
Yep. And we attempted to do that,
yeah.
and it just,
Yeah,
the
maybe-
turnout was terrible.
Yeah, I know
Maybe,
it. I
Madam
was
Chair,
there,
we
yeah.
will reach out, Adam, I can work with you to reach out to those cities that had either been just kind of waiting on the sidelines. A lot of them, when we reached out, still were unsure what to do, and some of them were going to their legal and they hadn't made a decision, they were waiting. So maybe we'll reach out again to those specific ones that were kind of on the, just on the fence with what their decisions were.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to reach out to each city separate, one-to-one, because to call a meeting, I mean, yeah, no one comes.
They gotta have a meeting and then
Yeah, so you're better off just to contact,
give them a date, say this.
yeah, that
Give them a hard
we
line in the
have to
sand.
know because, there
Yeah,
is
then-
a solid deadline on this.
I got
Yeah.
a quick question, if I may.
Yes, absolutely.
Compliance, what's our compliance look like as far as in this ordinance? Is there monthly checks,
Oh,
once a
yep,
year,
that's
5 times a year?
Part of it here, there's a compliance check prior to registering. So that's section 12.02 talks about that, and it references it in the rule. I think there was another part here, let me look. So that pre-registration compliance check, we're looking at the property as a whole, making sure even if they have a feedlot, that's got to be in compliance before we register. It really gives us a chance to look at the whole property. And then there's a section in here about ongoing compliance checks. Where was that? I don't see it here, but it talked about actually going in and doing like age verification checks and stuff like that. And is that something the county wants to be involved with? If we're gonna do that, it may require involvement of the sheriff's office. I know that it's similar to how they used to do the tobacco compliance checks. I don't know if they even do that anymore.
Sheriff Mike, I'm looking at you. Compliances, when you used to do the alcohol and tobacco compliance, that was held through the sheriff's office?
Yes, we do them twice a year, typically spring and fall.
Yeah. Would that be part of this cannabis, part of it?
We certainly could implement that.
Yeah.
If the board wants us to, we certainly could.
Do you still do the alcohol and tobacco ones or not? You do, you still? Okay.
I found the section here. It's annual compliance checks. The Todd County shall complete at minimum one compliance check per calendar year of every cannabis business to assess if the business meets age verification requirements as required under the statute. There's a whole bunch of stuff there. Todd County shall conduct at minimum one unannounced age verification compliance check at least once per calendar year. And there's a bunch of other stuff under there, but is that the type of compliance you're referring to?
Yeah, you know,
Okay.
I mean, I don't frequent these places. I don't know what the product line looks like and what they're actually selling out of a retail cannabis shop. But I would think we certainly should have some age, compliant language in there. I mean, I would think it'd be at least as equal to or stronger than alcohol and tobacco. Maybe that's my own opinion, but I don't want to, more work for people, but it's also a safety of our community and children and.
So, Madam Chair, my biggest concern about this whole thing, and I've had constituents talk to me about this, is the fact what it's gonna do to our law enforcement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike, do you want to come up here for, if you don't mind? Because it's going to involve your
Yes, it
department,
will.
no question about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so we will enforce this like any other ordinance in our county. It's just gonna be more taxing. We're already shorthanded and we will take care of these like any other ordinance.
Can we test the strength of the product? You hear this coming out of the cities, where a shop got busted or whatever because of the strength of their product.
The only thing I know that we can do now is a blood test on a suspect.
On the
And then we would need a
person.
warrant for that.
But the product is yourself, Jackie?
I think the Office of Cannabis Management for the state of Minnesota does those checks.
Does those
I think that
checks.
falls into their area of what they check.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're right. I think I've heard that before.
So my question would be, would this include the individual growing like the 6 plants maximum? Would that be in this ordinance? Is this just strictly on sale?
Yeah, this is business orientated, not private growth.
Okay,
Yep.
Yep, the other one, Commissioner, would be a state statute
okay.
recommended, yep. So this would be something different.
Yeah.
And since that statute came out, it's not uncommon for us to walk up to a residence and see a plant growing on the front porch. You see that fairly often now.
I mean, I guess, again, back to my compliance thing, I don't, I guess it's more work, but, I mean, if we're doing 2 in tobacco and alcohol, I would look at potentially making 2 also, so you can weigh in the rest of the team and see if that's doable, but when we're just doing compliance on retail, sales here, basically, we're not doing compliance on coming to my house and seeing if, my garage has got whatever in it,
Right.
So
Absolutely
this is
correct.
a retail operation. We're trying to-
Yeah, only time we go into a residence if we were given a tip or, and that would involve a warrant, or we'd be there for another reason and find something
So, I
in
mean,
plain
and
view.
like Lou's point, we're talking three establishments, we're not talking 27, 56, however many bars are across the state of Todd County, so.
We're hoping 3, but there could be more than
Potentially,
that.
Yeah.
Well, in the cities, though, there
Yeah.
could be more, but
Yeah.
I mean, Long Prairie
And-
would police that, wouldn't they? Also?
We would be in discussion with them how they want us to do it. We do compliance checks throughout the county, in cities as well, so.
Okay.
For tobacco use, we hit everything. And there's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And for those other types of businesses, like your growth and packaging, whatever, there's a whole bunch of business, other types, we can do compliance checks on those too. Our ordinance says that during your regular business hours or during reasonable times, you can access it to verify compliance. So I think we have the ability, if we need to go check something related to this ordinance, we can do that Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. And we can notice them in advance too, that we're, so we do have the opportunity on those other types of businesses. And then back to your other question, Commissioner Becker, there is a section in the statute about testing.
Okay.
And that is done by the Office of Cannabis Management. Yep.
Okay. So do we have anything in place right now that when you go into a business and they're smoking outside the business, it's so strong? Or if they come inside the business, they bring the smell with them because it stinks terrible?
It does.
Is there anything right now that we can?
Not per
anything?
ordinance that I'm aware of. Nope. State statute says you have to be in a, I think in this ordinance, if I'm not mistaken, the ones that we're implementing would be, you can't do that within so many feet of a business or a school or daycare or anything like that. But there's a, on their own personal residence, they can do whatever they want.
But this is, or is it up to the owner of the business to curtail the use outside his business?
We do have a public use ordinance already, right?
We do.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
And
But that doesn't
That is in
establish.
effect, isn't it?
It is in effect, correct. But it would be, you know, let's say you go to a local bar establishment, if they have a smoking area, it would be their choice whether they wanted to call us or not.
Okay.
So, Madam Chair, what I find really interesting is, and a constituent brought this up yesterday, is the fact that we've went all hell bent against smoking. And now we're pushing pot. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make any sense. You know?
I agree.
It is,
It just,
It's money.
yeah.
Driven by money.
I'm worried about a munchie outbreak.
Maybe we need to open up some snack shops around the county as well.
There you go.
Any other questions? This will go back to work session again?
Yeah,
then?
so I think we'll just keep it as a standing item on the work session.
Yes.
And
Yep, and it'll
even
go
if we don't
back.
have much to talk
Yeah.
about. So I'll put it on the next one. It'll go to the planning commission, that first meeting in December. And then hopefully, I mean, absolute worst case scenario, if we can put it on, well, the goal would be that middle December meeting to adopt
Right.
it. Worst case scenario, if we can throw it in on that
Very last meeting.
one that we're not supposed to, but at least we have that backup contingency plan, right, Denise? I don't know if you wanted me to walk through some of the highlight stuff here to think
Yeah.
about between, okay, I might just go up to the screen here. I think you're in the right spot. This is the section here about limiting registrations. So it's based on the 12,500 citizens, that puts us at 3. I think it had that in there. Yes, this bottom part. So I gotta remove the optional thing here. We'll keep that in there as a proposal. If you scroll down just a little bit, those setbacks, the first 4, were in the model ordinance. This 5th one, we added it. A 500-foot setback to legally established residences, and that all setbacks are reciprocal. So if you have an established cannabis business and somebody wants to build a house, that same setback applies for the protection of the business. The same as if it was an established residence, we wouldn't allow a cannabis business within that 500 feet.
Okay, so like if you're on Main Street Long Prairie, you have all kinds of, you know, housing on top of business housing. Does that fall within that?
That's the city standard, so that the city of Long Prairie would establish that. This is gonna be, this is that
our
ordinance
zoning.
outside of the city.
So-
The registration aspect is separate, that might all come to the county, kind of. Did I answer your question?
So that's AF1, AF2, and commercial is where they can have these,
Well,
or?
right, and so this is all the
Yeah.
different license types, if you
Okay.
scroll down just a little bit, Denise. And then we separated those out for cultivation, we're proposing that would be allowed in AF1, AF2 in a commercial zone. Same with manufacturer, hemp manufacturer, wholesale. If you go to the next page, please. Same there. Where we changed things is for the cannabis retail.
Yeah.
We said commercial only.
Okay.
That's where it's meant to be. I mean, I don't
Yep.
know that
Yep.
in the egg country they want retail sales out there or in shoreline or anything, so we've limited that to a commercial zone. And then back to
Along
this,
the big highways.
transportation, this,
Yeah.
at the last planning commission, we had a discussion about this transportation thing, and I think I actually had changed this. This must be an old version I submitted, I've changed things since then, but it's just an allowed use, because if somebody just is operating a business and they just have a car sitting in their driveway, there's no real need to issue a conditional use permit on that.
So we haven't changed that one there.
Adam, so cannabis transportation, just hear me out for a second. Like you get a food truck that comes in Wilmer, Minnesota and parks in the parking lot, but they're also selling. Is that transportation and retail?
Yeah,
What is
I'll find you the
that? We're
definition
gonna
for
have
it
marijuana,
here.
food truck, we're gonna have cannabis trucks? Mobile cannabis retail.
I think it's more of like.
You're a businessman.
Huh?
They manufacture here and
Well,
they
they-
sell in this building. It's the company that transfers, they have to be licensed to transfer it up.
But not selling out of that.
Right, I don't think it's a mobile cannabis truck that sells like a food truck. I'll find you the.
Might be,
Sounds like a heck of a business to me.
they might be a good business.
Where the demand is.
Sell pot on one side, tacos on the other.
I mean, you see a guy, there's people on Lake Charlotte.
They're doing it right now.
And the access there, he's selling goods out of there, like he sells, you know,
I
stuff he
saw-
buys on eBay and then sells it out of his car.
I saw a bus in San Diego, a full-size coach bus that was just driving around and would stop, and then you just went in and then you purchased right there on
I mean,
on
you
the
get
big
the fair
coach
comes to
bus.
town, so somebody's gonna set up their
So-
cannabis deal, they get, any event-driven deal, there can potentially be,
Not that I
anyway.
did.
Pop-up store.
So transporter is, we transport immature cannabis plants and seedlings, cannabis product, and hemp products to a licensed cannabis business. And then there's other delivery service.
I don't know, could they be both?
That's something I don't really answer to.
And maybe we should really light that out, you know.
What if-
I like that part of
But
it.
couldn't you
It
be
can,
both?
you know, or do we want it to be both? Because then you don't have the regulations
Is
on it.
is there a way around where people say that, you know, because you're probably not gonna get checked if you're just,
Well, what if Mike does a traffic stop and there's 50 plants and they're like, oh no, we're going to a retailer.
yeah,
And Mike's like, oh, take your word for it.
well, there are 50 plants on this side of the truck, the other side of the
It's going
electrical
to
truck has got
happen.
all your product.
Right.
I don't know if this
Sorry.
answers that a little bit, but there's
Maybe.
this part down here. about
Okay.
Temporary cannabis events, where you, I think it's still
Yeah, Hemp
situated
Fest.
at a site, yeah, but they, I don't know, bring everything to the site. So that was part of the model ordinance, and I questioned whether we needed that in there or not, but I think that's a discussion that I think we should have with like Jackie and Catherine, because they actually license temporary events of all sorts.
Yes.
Was that covered under that, and is there a need for this to be here? Not that it's really anything, but that was part of our conversation.
So any of your music fest that we do now would fall under that?
Like
I
right
mean,
now,
like-
we license the large gathering permits
Okay.
through my office. So I think she's asking,
Yeah.
would we run the permits of, you're gonna have a pop-up
Well, right.
cannabis
that's the question
station?
I don't know the answer to is,
Okay.
we wanna just keep it under existing things, identify that's part
I
of it?
don't think I want it.
Do we even have a need for an ordinance related to it? That, I don't know.
The other thing, Adam, what are the fees? I mean,
Oh, yeah, that's in
I think
ordinance,
it's
because
gonna be
they're in the
liable
statute, it limits
for
what you can
testing.
charge people.
okay.
They have to follow the state's
Yeah,
testing, I
that's
think.
up at the top part there for registering the business. And
That's
then
what I
obviously
would assume.
if they have to apply for a conditional use permit, that just follows our fee schedule.
That follows the regular fee
That's
schedule.
Registration stuff that is labeled in there, because there's, dollar amounts you can't exceed.
So Adam, one thing about the you know, fees and whatnot, are we allowed as a county to add an extra tax on these things?
Do you know the answer to that?
Tax man, come on.
I don't believe so.
Well, I
Yeah,
think
you might
you're
as well come
referring
up
to
here
like a
too.
sales tax?
Yeah, like an
Yeah. If it's an
There's
additional
shares.
sales tax,
want
you
the
would
new
have to go
Suburban.
to the state of Minnesota and ask to start that initiation, like we do the public works transportation tax.
Yeah.
We had to go through the state of Minnesota and set that all up and follow their guidelines. So if you wanted to add additional 0.5% or
Well, that might be
whatever.
something to look into if it really sells
You
a
could-
lot, because,
That would be on the sale of it.
Right, that's what we're
Yeah.
talking about.
yeah.
I remember somebody say something about they were looking for ways to grow revenue in Todd County.
Here we are.
Grow revenue, I love it.
Chris?
I'm on it.
Chris, you want to come up here seriously? It's easier to visit. And this is a lot of information, I guess.
In respect to cannabis and property tax, it is always commercial or industrial. Hemp, on the other hand, is more likely to be agricultural. Minnesota statute says cannabis is never an agricultural product. So our ag tax rate for an agricultural homestead is 1/2 of 1%. Commercial is triple that. So yes, there will be additional property tax generated
For the people that are growing it.
for the people that are growing it, and if a business is established in an area that a business doesn't currently exist. So if you take like a building that is not currently vacant but is currently commercial, and you put a cannabis distribution site there, your increase to tax is going to be very limited. But if you take 10 acres of agricultural field and start planting pot, we're going to get triple the tax off of that area.
So it goes from AF1 to commercial.
Basically, it's taxed as commercial, even if
Always.
it's AF1 or AF2, it would be taxed as commercial.
Always, yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Have any more concerns on tax with this stuff, or just in general?
Not concerns. The only, like, Adam's department does a very good job of telling us when something's permitted or a conditional use or a split or any of those things. So we rely on that initial communication, and then we go to site and see if it's actually being constructed or used. Just because someone has a permit for something doesn't mean that they've actually done something.
Right, okay.
So once someone gets above 6, they've got a garden, they've got 6 marijuana plants in the garden. And they just really, whatever, enjoy it or whatever, they decide they're gonna have 12 marijuana plants in their garden. Does that make it commercial now?
My first step in this hypothetical scenario is to contact Adam. And I'm going to ask him if this person has a conditional use for, because for my untrained eyes, hemp and cannabis are the same thing. I believe you need to test to tell the difference. So they might be making their own rope as far as I know. So I'm going to ask if he's got a commercial use permit for that.
Hemp is a heavily saturated market. There's $0 in hemp right now, but a lot of money in. I mean, I've seen, my son was moved to Buffalo, Minnesota, and I was with a neighbor, and they had six pretty high, 3-4 foot, marijuana plants. So what's to say they wouldn't do, nobody really checks on it, why don't you put 12 of them in, But if you had to pay 3 times your property taxes, you surely wouldn't do it. I wouldn't.
But you can get a lot of plants on 1 acre of ground.
Oh, yeah. This is a garden like the
And if
size
you're
of a-
talking $20 in tax per acre, now we're talking 60.
Maybe, yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's all about the money.
That's nominal, yeah.
They're still making way more money.
Yeah,
on it.
exactly. It's worth the pay. It's the trade-off is worth it, yeah.
Well, my recommendation is that we get hold of all the cities.
Yep.
And you might have to call them and talk to the administrators one-on-one and make sure where they're sitting. And this will be going back to planning and zoning again. And then bringing it up to the next work session, I guess, and try to make it.
Yeah, and internally, I think we gotta get sheriff's office, I don't know, auditor, treasurer, HHS, who all these different players may or may not be in it to figure out what that registration process is. And then, like some of the other pieces, like we had mentioned, the temporary cannabis events, like, is there a need for that to really be an ordinance? And then the lower potency hemp edible stuff that's been legal for a couple of years now, do we need that to be part of our ordinance anymore? We have it right now proposed as an allowed use. Is that even necessary? That was part of our conversation last meeting. And then the piece about use in public places. We have a public use ordinance already. Do we need it to be in our planning and zoning ordinance then? But we have some internal discussions to have here then. So we'll try to get that done here in the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it is just all definitions that we'll just incorporate into our definition section.
one last thing that's really not about the ordinance, but it's gonna be more of a procedural operations thing. When any one of the 5 commissioners gets a call from their constituents saying, hey, the store over by Napa is selling something that I know is not, it's something different than what they should be selling. I just hope that we have a procedure operation in place that we can then tell them, this is your step to call Office of Cannabis Management down there.
Right. They have the Office of Cannabis Management has a toll-free number that you can use, citizens if they want to report any issues, so that they can check on that.
This is a big issue with a lot of gray areas, so I hope we all can just work together and kind of get through this growing pains, because it's going to be kind of awkward for a while till we get it all established. So I'm glad you guys are having good communication between departments right now, and just if we can just keep that going. Just wait, Bob.
I can see it, and then if we have to rely upon someone from Minneapolis or St. Paul,
Right.
which takes, it could be a month before they come up and whatever, so.
Right.
And the constituent's gonna say, what are you doing, what are you doing, what are you
Yeah,
doing,
oh, yeah.
what are you doing?
Yeah.
Okay,
Perfect.
just things to think about.
And it's still illegal in the federal, right? Federal
Yes.
level, pot is still
Oh, yeah,
illegal.
this is just state,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Minnesota, Colorado, Washington, Oregon,
yeah.
all the liberal, somewhat areas, I should say.
So, well, it'd be interesting because each county is doing their own ordinance. So from county to county, it could be different even,
Yeah, we've
because this
discussed
isn't a
that.
state
Yeah.
issued one.
Yeah, and everybody's kind of taken a little bit different approach, and that's what it's gonna be. Everybody's gonna learn something, and we should learn from our neighbors too
Do
in
we
that
know what
process.
the neighboring counties are doing yet or not?
Yeah, we had a meeting, we do quarterly meetings with our district, whatever
Okay.
district we are, and we had a little bit of discussion on that. My understanding, Wadena County isn't even touching it.
No.
And
Sure they're
I
not.
know, I believe it's Pope is doing something similar to us, just using the model ordinance. It's kind of a little bit all over the map.
Okay.
But everybody has a little bit different approach. I don't think there's gonna be this mad rush come January for these licenses or anything, so we can hopefully learn a few things in the early part of 2025. If we need to make some minor adjustments, we'll do that. Last thing I just want to note, if you haven't seen these already, this is the Guide for Local Governments on Adult Use Cannabis, and this is just a cannabis planning and zoning document. I believe they're both on the Office Cannabis Management website or on the AMC website. So if you haven't seen these are really helpful, or you can just make copies of these too. But these are helpful documents if you haven't seen them already.
Okay.
Thanks for all the work,
Yeah,
appreciate it.
thank you. Yeah.
No problem, thank you.
Thank you for working together too. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
Can we pull 4? Let's pull 4. John ain't here, I'd rather have him in person.
Denise, what's the process now to go on about tax?
He won't come without it. Okay.
County tax on?
I asked for this to put on, and Randy just asked if we should pull number 4. But
Warren is the one that organized it.
this is, I think we should hear it and then maybe put it on again for the next work session when John's here too. But I'll let Jackie kind of explain what's happening.
Sure, yep. So a few weeks ago, and John couldn't be here today, Attorney Lindeman, but we had contacted him because he had requested that maybe a change in the hiring process, that he took more ownership of actually vetting candidates that were applying for positions within the county attorney's office, and then also holding the interviews himself, and then reference checking, and then selecting. And then anything outside of that, human resources would still do as they do for all departments. Human Resources Director, Nellie Johnson, said that we could do that. However, she really wanted assurance from him that all legalities would be followed in the hiring process. And so he was able to draft for us. Hi, Nellie. He was able to draft something for us, and I think I shared that I had sent that to all 5 of the commissioners, but he really, in an email, stated and laid out what he will do and what his role will be, and then what human resources will be. Now, this is outside of what we do for all departments. It's something separate. And Nellie, you can speak to it, but I think we're confident as far as what he's written to us and how he's going to proceed with hiring. We don't know if this should be something then written into the personnel policy so that it shows that just the county attorney's office is doing a different process than all of our other departments. Did you want to add anything, Nellie?
And I think that's where the discussion's gotta come up, and that's why I brought it to a work session to begin with, because I don't know if we should take it to policy next, bring it to another work session with John here. Where are we gonna move with this? Because the way it is right now, to be able to hire or interview in that department is very hard.
Doesn't our personnel, if I may?
Yes.
Doesn't our personnel policies say that in like an interview process, it has to be admin, I mean, what I'm understanding is like last time someone was interviewed, the entire department down there interviewed, or it's part of the interview process, and that's not in the policy.
Correct.
That's in direct conflict to what the policy says.
Correct.
So either the policy's gotta change, or we're making an exception. Now, I understand people know how to run their departments, but I don't, personally, I don't need 500 exceptions out there to the rule. Is what I'm saying. You know, that's my own opinion. If there's exception here, we're gonna have an exception there, we're gonna have an exception there, exception, why even have a policy then? So there are some things to talk about, because we did not follow the policy, and they did not in the last time.
No, and it makes it very hard when, you know, when there's only 2 commissioners on a personnel committee, and he expects the personnel committee to make decisions as such, when it should be, it's gotta be brought out in a setting like this, because it's gotta be all 5 commissioners' decisions. So I don't know where we wanna go.
Well, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
The current county attorney was hired through that same process, following the same exact policy that we have followed since I've been a commissioner, 20 years. So it's like, policy is policy. I don't really want to change it. That's why we have an administrative staff to gather the people that apply for the position. They go through those individuals, okay? They make that recommendation. Actually, the county attorney sits with that group, goes through those applications, and approves it. Simple as that, okay? The last individual was interviewed in the county attorney's office without knowledge of any of us. So I'm gonna leave it at that. And that's why I would have really liked to have the county attorney here in person to
Madam
address
Chair,
it.
if I may, that's why I would recommend we bring this back to the next work
Work
session with the county attorney here. We don't do anything without him explaining his situation, what he needs or what he wants, and what we can do to make it right.
Or why the
to stay
change,
the
yeah.
same as we are. I think he needs to be here.
I
this.
don't disagree with that, but like I said, I just wanted to make you guys all aware of
No,
what's
that's good.
going on
Thank you.
and so forth. So right now, it's policy as is, and we'll bring it back to another work session,
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
okay?
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Anything else to come before the work session? If not,
Enjoy the rest of the day.
good to go.
Yeah.
All right.